Today, I have a very, exceptional personality as a guest with me on show. And before we start, you all know that he has been doing amazing things for Pakistan, and he has been building incredible image of Pakistan for a very long time now. And he is working in every dimension to promote Pakistan, to promote entrepreneurship, to promote leadership in Pakistan, and he is doing amazing job to promote entrepreneurs and to encourage them to step forward and do their thing, to follow their dreams, follow their mission, and follow their objectives. So today I have Mr. Khurram Zuberi with me over here. And before I welcome him, I want to welcome you all. Assalamu alaikum, Khurram.
वालेकुम सलाम क्या हाल चाल है आपके ठीक ठाक हैं अनुष्का
Thak, Allah ka shukr. How are you?
I'm good alhamdulillah as always perfect
Amazing. Okay. So, Khurram, before we start the show, we come to the topic and the intense discussion. And there are a few things that I'll be asking about your own life. Okay, which I think that many people might not know, because whenever we see you live, you're always talking about business and entrepreneurship and things, but very few people know about your own journey, how you started, uh, how was your own journey establishing your own startup and those things.
Actually assalamu alaikum to everyone urdu mein kar rahe hain english mein kar rahe
hain
English okay. So basically the whole journey actually started from the point when nobody actually knew. I didn't know that it's entrepreneurship, but I actually started this composing center. Although I actually did talk about it a while back in several other interviews I given, but the whole concept was that what you have, you capitalize on it, and that's what I did. I sort of looked at it around me. I was I think 17 or 18 at that time, and what I had was a bedroom, so I could actually use a bedroom. I had my own bedroom which had the actual access from outside, so I could actually use it, my base. And then I thought like what I could do with it. And at that time there was a printing business, and then the printing business used to happen like with a rotor machine, so you could actually make a plate, and that plate gets imprints on another piece of paper, and that's how you actually used to print. But then that plate has to be created with the proper composing, that you actually create something on the computer and then take a print out and then create a plate from it. So I started doing that composing, and that's back in early 90s, so late 80s. So and that time it was just something you could do from home, although very little things you could do from home, like as in terms of the business at that time. But internet wasn't there, or at least it wasn't practiced, or it wasn't used to that extent. So I started doing it from this, and that gave me enough experience in terms of actually how to deal with the clients, how to actually do work, how to meet the deadlines, how to manage finances. So from that earlier age, I was sort of like got onto that ladder of doing a business. And then over the time, I moved overseas, and then we had the first internet cafe in the world, you can say, on the Oxford Street, that we sort of started providing back in mid-90s, when there was only Yahoo, and the whole the maximum internet you could actually get was the 128K. So that's 1/8 of actual the bandwidth you would get. I mean, 1/8 of the MB, and then about 25 or 30 people have to actually share it. So that's how the journey started, and then from there on was the entrepreneurship, and then worked in the corporate sector also for a long period of time.
Amazing. So tell me, what was the turning point of your life? We all have a story to tell, we all have a journey to share, but sometimes throughout this journey there is one point in our lives that just like anything, and that kind of changes us from inside and out. It kind of changes the principles that we follow, the things that we believe in. It just kind of it's that point in your life where you actually develop some kind of principles which you know that you need to follow for the rest of your life?
That's a good question, and usually it's been asked by many people, and everybody has this turning point in their lives. But in my life, I think, or in many people's life, we have to think it uh, from this perspective that it's not one point in time. It happens over the time. So you actually accumulate the experiences, and that experience, maybe one of the experiences is going to be really, deepening in you, and then ultimately it would make you go in that particular direction you're going into in much faster way, much accelerated way. But it's just a built up of the experiences, and this is how you get to a certain situation. Maybe it could have been when I decided that I'm going to be in IT. That's what I like. That's what I like to do. Technology. It could have been my starting my first business. It could have been my self going overseas and experiencing different people, different cultures. It could have been doing some research on AI. It could have been my decision to actually do AI when nobody knew what the AI was. It could have been my moving into the corporate sector and then actually experiencing it, how the corporate sector works. It could be me moving into the media and leaving everything behind and experiencing it, what the media is all about. It could have been like launching Jumpstart in Pakistan. So there are some very number of things.
So, if you say that there is one principle in your life that you hold steadfast to, no matter what, when it comes to entrepreneurship, what would that be?
Uh, I think it's the mindset. This is where everything revolves around. That in particular situation, now there is not going to be one principle that okay, yeah, I have to be really truthful. I have to be really proactive. I have to leave the procrastination behind. There could be many things, but I think it's all accumulates to one thing, which is the mindset. In particular situation, how you react. There could be situations where you're just like feeling really down. You could be feeling like when you're really feeling happy, you want to actually experience it, the world, many other things. But it's all about the mindset, how your mind reacts to a particular situation. That's what we have to get to. So many people, for this kind of situation, when you're living in the corona times, then how your mind reacted to it. Did you actually respond instantly? Did you just like very strictly focused and practiced stay at home? Did you got panicked? Did you just like got depressed? So if you had the particular mindset, you would have been, reacted in a particular way, and that's how you see people. That's how they are actually reacting. So mindset.
Okay, so you think that it's mindset that matters the most. It doesn't matter if where you belong from, where it all starts, with turning points you face in life. It's all how your brain reacts to circumstances, right? Okay, so the next question that I'm going to ask you about yourself is that how has your family been with you throughout your journey? How has their support mattered to you? Have they been supportive or not? Did this thing matter to you?
I think without family, I mean, obviously you can't really survive in a way. That support is needed, that emotional support is needed, even though they are not actually physically helping you out. So even if they are not, helping you with the, resources or providing you the financial resources or like physically helping you with some certain things, still their support is needed. Even sometime like if you're working from home, um, your families realize that you didn't have the tea. If you like the tea, after a while, after every few seconds, then they actually make one and then bring it to you. That's a great support. If you're feeling down, they say like, okay, let's watch something. If something else is happening, then they are there for you. So the family support is, without saying it, I mean that's
Well,
one.
I asked this question, because generally it's thought that for a female entrepreneur, for a woman, even a But I want to know that if men also need support, if men need that kind of support in their lives as well.
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I think and that's what usually been perceived, that only the women need that support from the family.
So
So in my opinion,
I think it's very important
I think
that it's good to know that men also need that kind of support in their lives, and men also feel that uh, it's valuable for them to be supported in that kind of a way.
exactly. So what I was saying to you, I mean, we have a little bit of a lag, I think, in our conversation. So hope viewers actually bear with this. Yes, that support is needed, and that support is not just needed, and it's usually been perceived that only the woman needs that from their family, their husbands, their brothers, their fathers, in order to actually embark that journey. But it's very much so has to be reciprocal. So, for instance, I mean, I need full support, and everybody has to understand that. Doesn't matter. It's not gender based. It's not something which is you can say that, okay, because there's certain segment of the society is like not really equipped to do certain things, that doesn't mean that the other segment of the society is fully equipped to do certain things. So in my opinion, I think we need a lot more emotional support. There are like elements which is for instance, there are particular type of support is needed. Yes, we can demarcate that. But when it comes to men, it's probably more sort of like emotional support is needed. When it comes to women, maybe a lot more physical support is needed. A lot more financial support is needed. So it's support in a quotation. That's what's needed. Doesn't matter where you are. But having said that, when it comes to entrepreneurship, you have to realize one thing, that it's all about the challenge. It's all about the actual, fighting or like swimming against the stream. And that's what is come down to. This is what the entrepreneurship is. So if anybody is thinking that it's going to be, easy ride, it's not going to be. So it's not gender based that, women would have a lot more trouble than the men, or the men would have less trouble. That's not the case. The journey is the same for anyone. It's just like swimming against the stream. We are having a little bit lagging issue, so I'm not quite sure like whether my conversation is getting to you, or I'm not actually hearing you well. Guys, sorry about that. I think Anushka is having an issue with overall, maybe the connection and everything. I'm trying to actually do the best in terms of, because I'm the only one on the screen. So, so basically, what I'm gonna do is, while the Anushka comes back or sorts her, the internet issue. Jay is saying, is a regular viewer. We love international experts like Khurram, Harun, Dosani, and all that. Harun Bhai, I was actually looking or hearing Harun Bhai session with Rabia, I think like was a couple of days ago. Thanks. Welcome back, my host. Can you hear me now, or?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry it got interrupted.
Not a problem.
Setback.
Yeah, so I finished the answer to the questions you actually posed.
That's amazing. We will just move to our next segment, and it's going to be about your financial life. Because you mentioned that you started your entrepreneurial journey once you were in your teenage, and you must have seen an amazing time in all those years, and the financial status from then to now, how it changed in terms of value and how it changed you and your life. So please shed some light on that.
I think it's a very deep question, and I've actually addressed this. I had a whole session on it. First of all, in order to actually understand the financial freedom element, you have to understand what the finances are, and then in order to understand the finances, you have to understand the money. So unless you understand what the money is, you won't be able to actually understand or actually pan everything out in terms of how the finance is going to be in your life. So, for instance, if I start with the money element, that what is money? In my opinion, I think this is something which is a parking facility. It's like a vehicle to park your time in it. So, for instance, I can utilize my time. Like right now, in like about a month or so, we are at home, and then what are we doing with this time? Maybe like this is a spare time. Actually, there is a hadith on that as well. There are like 7 things that you value, 7 things before those taken away, and one of that is the time. So you don't have the time all in your life all the time, and there could be a spare time. So how you utilize that? So that spare time can be utilized, can be invested in that particular time, and that could we can extract that and take it back when we need it. So for instance, right now I have time, and I can do certain things which I can actually invest in the future, because that is going to be ultimately multiplied by whatever the time I'm going to be spending in the future. Now, if you look at the actual daily wage worker, they simply go and do some work and then earn money against that. So let's say it's 1,000 rupees. The person has invested about a day in that and then earned 1,000 rupees, right? So he invested his 8 hours, and then in return he got 1,000 rupees. And from that 1,000 rupees, he can buy certain things. He can accumulate that money. He can save that, and then ultimately buy certain things. Or he could survive on that and buy certain things and eat, or buy some food. And so there are multiple things. Now, how come a lawyer or a doctor spends another of his 8 hours into some activity and then earn 20 or 30 times of that? How is that possible? It's only possible because it's multiplied by the skill set. So that 8 hours are multiplied by his skill set, and then the output is lot more, is multiple times of it. So what has allowed that person to have that multiple amount of the initial multiplication is because that person has the skill, and then how that skill is acquired is that time has gone in. So that person has actually gone and learned certain skill, which is multiplied by that 8 hours, and that given the maximum output. So this is the money. So right now, let's say if I don't know anything and I can actually do and work out and then help people out, but if I have some skill, so for instance, if I acquire a skill of graphic designing, for instance, in this time, in 1 month, and my X, so I give that skill set a X, so that X gets increases. So if I acquire that skill, I also have enabled myself into acquiring that skill. So now next time I would work on certain thing, my number of hours is going to be multiplied by that. So my output would be like, instead of 1,000 rupees, it's going to be 15,000 rupees or like 10,000 rupees. So that's how you should start seeing the money. So when you start seeing the money, your financial perspective is going to be a lot more different. Your financial life is going to be a lot more different. So in my opinion, in my life, that's how I saw it. And I think everybody should see it from that perspective. And then right now, maybe not the time for you to actually earn or that accumulate that amount, but then in future, you're investing in yourself in order to actually multiply or increase that X factor. So that's how I see my financial life.
That's amazing, because you know that how you explained is a completely new dimension and a new perception about finances. Because from what I can hear, from what I can assume, is that finances are basically you have transmuted them into different values. So it's very amazing to hear. We have a question for you from Jayala. Question: please answer. What motivates you, Sir Khurram, and your USA team, such as Sir Mirza Ali and Sir Harun Dostani, to go an extra mile and help Pakistani?
I don't know. I mean, there are like a lot of people are actually working on this, and all the names are just amazing. I mean, these guys have done a wonderful job, but it's all about perspective. I mean, the one thing you'll see in all those people and many other people is they have actually realized that ultimately things are a lot more different. Things are different the way other people perceive in their lives. So when they actually embark on a journey, when they actually start practicing life or start living a life, they see things differently. So it's all about the perspective. So I would urge all those people who are actually watching and then would watch it later on as well, that it starts seeing the world differently. I gave you one example in terms of the money and the financial, as you said that this is the first time you actually heard that perspective. There are like multiple perspective of every single thing we see. So how the business is done, people have different businesses. How we approach money is different thing. How we approach family matters is different thing. How we approach ourselves, we have to approach ourselves as well. That how our personal physical matters are dealt with. You have to approach that in a different perspective. So it's all about perspective, mindset.
Cool, cool. With that being answered, we'll move to our next segment, and it is going to be about your thoughts on this platform, World Beyond Borders, this platform which encourages people from around the world together and create a wider networking opportunity. That's since I have decided to bring people from different parts of the world. Tomorrow, a day after tomorrow, I have someone from Turkey. She is an entrepreneur in Turkey, and she is also a travel enthusiast, adventure traveler. So more people like that will come, and I just want them to be connected with people of Pakistan to connect with them and explore more networking and business opportunity in the times to come, because new economic order is going to come as well. So I'd like to know your humble views on this as well.
Okay, that's a good perspective. And when I actually heard this "World Beyond Borders" title, I think that's another perspective everybody should look at. Rather than actually, obviously, you're bringing a lot of people, and that's the good name for the event and for the program itself, for the session. But at the same time, like just these three words, "World Beyond Border," if it gets stuck in your mind, your perspective is going to entirely change. And that's what the mentality we should actually keep in mind, that what if there is no border? What if 100 years ago there were no borders? You could actually just pick up your bags and just go.
Go
So,
anywhere.
exactly. So if that's the case, then start seeing things from that perspective. Our youth actually looks as if the only destination is the US or the Europe. I mean, there are like tons of countries in the world. I mean, have you actually thinking of visiting Nepal or Sri Lanka? There's no visa for Nepal. I don't know why the people don't go there. Why the youth doesn't go? Go and
Beautiful.
experience it. That's going to give you amazing experience. But then over the time, that would open your eyes that there aren't any borders. I mean, I alhamdulillah just pick up a bag and then just go. Like whenever I still use my Pakistani passport. I just simply don't have this concept that okay, I won't be able to actually go somewhere. So start considering that there aren't any borders, and especially good thing is that because of this reset button is being pressed in the world now, because of the corona, there are places which are a lot more susceptible, a lot more attractive for you to do business, for you to visit, for you to go and experience their cultures. And then that would create a lot more opportunities for you. So just go spread out. Like this whole world is made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no bad or good land. There is like simply a world. There is like same dirt, same trees, same environment. It's just the people
Same
who
heart, same mind,
right,
same souls everywhere, and all we need is to connect with them, and do not let our minds think that borders are basically separating us. It's all politics.
right. So I have to come out of this mentality. I really love this title, World
Thank
Beyond Borders, and then thanks for taking this initiative, and then just get in the habit of actually get those three words stuck in mind, that there aren't any borders. It's just a globe. Whenever you want to go, whenever you want to experience, whenever you, and especially with the internet age, you can actually talk to any person.
Any
Uh,
person.
right,
We're
right,
basically meeting and you're not talking, and it just feels like you're sitting in front of me and we're
right.
having a discussion in a lounge, or we are having a table talk, whatever. So because I couldn't do table talk, I decided to go world beyond borders. So that's how it started. And so thank you so much, Khurram. You have been very generous with your views. And with that, we'll move to our next segment. We didn't quite chat about today's topic yet, but if there is something that you feel like you haven't talked about on the social media yet, or you haven't had a session on it yet, so we can, definitely enlighten people and give our views about things, if it's related to COVID-19, or if it's related to the new economic order, of what's going to come. If you have any idea of what the coming 6 months or coming couple of years are going to look like, especially for the people who have travel businesses or e-commerce businesses, because people like me who have travel businesses, very well that what happened on the first week of March. And while we were discussing about Invest in Pakistan conference and how it all, just tables got turned ever since we have been facing COVID-19. So what do you have to say to those entrepreneurs whose businesses have been affected by this pandemic?
Okay, again, because the people don't have the mindset, they do not react instantly. So, for instance, the moment we started actually realizing that we won't be able to actually have the Invest in Pakistan conference in mid-April, what can we do? I mean, we started thinking about it. So now we are having in June virtually. So the whole
Mm,
conference is going to happen online. So there's going to be 200
online.
speakers, and it's going to be, in fact, I mean, what I have started realizing that we can actually be able to bring in a lot more value to the participants through this way. If it would have happened, maybe like we'll sort of like, because of the operational issues, we wouldn't be able to actually do certain things. But because now it's going to be happening online, it's going to be a lot more time involved. People can actually go and take notes, and people can actually sit on the computer and then watch and then get benefit from it. So there's always real opportunity in difficult times, and that's where the real things come out. I was doing a session with Nabil yesterday and the day before with Osama. I mean, these guys have done an amazing job. They turned around their whole business. Their business was shut literally from the day the lockdown went on. Their business was shut, but they turned around. They created new products. They actually start selling it, and that's what needs to be done. I mean, specifically in the tourism industry, certain people are thinking, or the hospitality or the airline industry, people are thinking that, okay, this is the end of the world. They are like just literally that, oh my God, we are losing big time and this and that. And yesterday I was discussing as well, is cinemas are closed, for instance. So what they are doing, they are not losing any money. If they had the freehold property, or if they even renting it, that was, I mean, yes, shows are not going on, but they are not losing money if they are not actually paying anybody. So the facility is shut, but that doesn't mean that ongoing expenses are not occurring. You don't have to pay the electricity bill because there's no electricity being used. There is no salary being paid because there's nobody there to serve the people. There's no, the machines are not running, so nobody has to be there. So, I mean, those kind of things you have to see. Same thing with my gym. So Jim actually sent an email to me that about a month ago that you can't come into the gym because we are shutting it down. So if they're shutting it down, they are not losing money. Of course, they are not profiting from it, but there's not going to be attendant there. There's not going to be electricity. The pool is not going to be actually recycling. It doesn't need to be cleaned. The weights doesn't need to be like, replaced and all that. So there's no expense. It's right there. So you can go to even if you're renting a property, you can go to the landlord and say like, we can't pay right now, and they'll understand because that's their freehold property. So they don't have any expense to go or pay towards that. So come out of that mentality that this is the time when lut gaye, pit gaye, mar gaye, barbad ho gaye. Literally, you have to come out of that lut gaye, pit gaye, mar gaye, barbad ho gaye mentality. Unless you come out of this, you're not going to be thinking about right in a particular way, and start doing something.
All
So
about how you turn an incident into an opportunity.
correct.
That's what you are
And
exactly.
And also for the tourism, I would say I'm actually working on a tourism product right now, and that would have been taken me roughly, about 6 to 8 months to actually code and compile and create and everything. So for me, it's the best opportunity because nothing is happening. Nobody's going to accelerate. I'm working on it. And then once the world is going to be ready for me or for my product, I'm going to be there. I'm going to say, here you go. So this is what you have.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I have been working on a tourism project as well because throughout all this time we usually don't we are into so much, we have to go places, we have to coordinate things, and then all of a sudden you have all this time in the world to do things, and so you eventually we just have to consider this as an opportunity. If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you would know how to convert failures into successes and how to convert incidents into opportunities, and it's all how you perceive things. That's amazing
So
how you
I'll give you an example. So for instance, if you were the tour operator, so I mean, specifically from your perspective, I mean, many people are thinking that certain industries would die. They won't die. You just have to pivot. You have to actually create something which is going to be right for the next world. Many of the big companies is going to go bankrupt. Who's going to take place of them? Like when the things go normal. So for instance, many of the airlines going to shut, but it's the best opportunity to launch a airline right now. If you're going to be tour operator, many of the tour operators, the big ones, are going to be shut, and they won't be able to actually come out of this because they have so much burden or loans and other things accumulated over the time. But since you have just started, you're going to be the best place to actually do those things. Same thing with the education. I mean, all the schools are shut. If you were running some sessions, some all, go towards the online, but at the same time look from the perspective that in the long run how is going to benefit in the long run. So I actually in terms of the pivoting, I suggested that, and I did a very specific session on this, that you have to create a short-term strategy. So for instance, right now, if the tourism industry for you is shut, you can't take the the operate, start thinking from other things. For instance, start selling vegetables, start making food at your home, some special foods, start making cakes and start selling those. You can't just have this mentality, no, I'm in a tourist business, so I can't actually go into the catering facility. Yes, you can.
exactly.
Entrepreneur can actually do anything. So
let's let's say the restaurants are closed. It's a very good opportunity for home entrepreneurs who are into cooking to expand their business, because they can all of a sudden offer home cooked meals at a larger scale, whereas people would go to restaurants. Now they still seek new kind of food and they crave for new kind of food. You can definitely, this is the time that you can launch your home cooked food, salads, or bakery items or anything, because people are confident in buying a home cooked food when it comes to hygiene.
right. So I mean, there are new industries going to emerge from this, and that's what we have to realize. Is there anybody out there who's going to be actually working on these industries, or no? Can you be that person? So there has to be. Jay asked, what do you see in a person to become a part of your Jumpstart team? That's a really good question. I actually see those things in everybody, in every entrepreneur. um, that this should be. First of all, you have to have a can-do attitude. If you have a can-do attitude, I mean, mindset is obviously the default you have to have. If you don't have a mindset, I don't want to just talk of entrepreneurship with you. I can talk to you socially, I can talk to you on other topics, but don't discuss with me entrepreneurship if you don't have a mindset. So that's one thing. Secondly, is have to have a can-do attitude, that you see certain things and then you just get on with it. You can't just procrastinate on it. You just like, okay, we'll do. Have this lazy attitude, and you just say like, okay, yeah, I have this problem or that problem. If you have that thing, you're not going to go ahead. You have to do it today. You have to do it now. You have to have can-do attitude. And the third thing is the patience. Many people actually don't reach their destiny, most of that, majority of them, primarily because of lacking of one thing, which is the patience. if you don't have patience, you cannot get to your destiny. You have to have a patience. I actually see those three things: patience, perseverance, and persistence. That's mostly I look for those three things. The person has to have a patience, has to persevere throughout for a longer period of time, and have to have persistence continuously. That ziddipan, yaar karna hai, karna hai. One day you'll get there.
And he is saying that please bring more and more people from Jumpstart to your shows. They are all gems. Khurram, you're gonna have to, recommend me more and more and more people.
Inshallah, inshallah. I'll recommend tons of people. So we have like a group of like 200 or so mentors. So all over the world, spread all over the
No,
world.
definitely. It will definitely be an
You
honor for
probably
me
would have
to
two or
welcome
three
all those.
sessions a day with them. Then you'll be able to actually complete the whole thing. But anyhow, go ahead. Sorry, I think there's still again a bit of uh, sluggishness on Anushka's side. Sorry, I think she's continuously having a problem on her end in terms of the network and all that. In the meantime, I'll see if I have any questions, and then once she actually comes back, Ali Bhai, mashallah, thank you for watching. And your name is always pops up because you walk the talk, and then have a great conversation whenever you are online. Inshallah, we should do our sessions more often, and then inshallah I'll ask Anushka to actually also interview you. Yeah, go ahead, Anushka. Sorry, I can't hear you. Your voice is not coming in. So
Okay, so we will now go ahead towards our next segment. We are getting generous comments. Mirza Ali says, Jay, you brought to me his amazing interview. Khurram bhai always say you have to be little crazy and fanatic to be in Jumpstart, which is required trait for any entrepreneur.
that's
That's
actually a good thing. It reminds me of thing. You have to be crazy. जिसको हरून भाई बल्कि कहते हैं कि जुनूनी होना चाहिए. अगर जो main requirement है कि अगर जुनूनी नहीं हो तो jump start में नहीं हो सकते. Because certain things we do in jump start is just like totally crazy. It's just so crazy. The normal human being cannot even perceive or think about it that we could do this. Because we have actually, when Lift conference is happening and other, we are all together and just working through. It's 24 hours. It's just some crazy routine we have. So it's just like really fun. It's really productive. It's just amazing overall, the whole experience. So have to have Januni.
Exactly. To some people say that it's if you are crazy, that means you are different. So it also makes sense. So we will go towards the summary of this session, where we definitely talked about Sir Khurram's personal life and a bit about his journey and his views and perception on financial independence and the values that he has put towards financial freedom. Now, then we also talked about how you can benefit from the current situation. If you are an entrepreneur and you are being affected, how you can convert this incident into opportunities and gain from it. How you can prepare yourself during this time for what's going to come next. And it's very important that you think in that way. Now we have another question, and it's how to become an entrepreneur. This is a very basic question, Khurram. I need you to answer that.
It's very simple. I mean, go and first of all, I would say to all these people, when they ask questions and whatever comes to their mind, have they Googled it? I mean, I usually don't answer those questions which they haven't Googled it. Have you ever typed those 4 words in Google? If you haven't, then you don't have the right to actually ask that question. But anyhow, I'll do that. I'll tell you first step because it's a long journey. So I'll tell you the first step. What's the first step? Step is that rather than either manufacture something, do it yourself. Like ये मग्गा बना लो भाई. कोई भी चीज बना लो, कोई हेडफोन बना लो, कुछ भी बना लो जो खुद बना सकते हो. You have to really create something yourself. Acha? Or if you can't do it yourself, you can't create something, then start doing a service. So for instance, buy something and then sell it on profit. So that's how you become an entrepreneur. You create something and then sell it, or you buy something and then sell it on profit. Once you are actually eh, become an expert on doing this, then you overall, I'll tell you the next step how to become an entrepreneur. But do this first. कोई छल्ली लेके बेच दो, कोई गिलास लेके बेच दो, कोई मग्गा लेके बेच दो, कोई कप लेके वो आप डोंगा लेके बेच दो, कुछ भी. Just buy even vegetable and then sell it on profit. Once
That
you've done that, you have accumulated roughly about $5,000 in your life. Then come and talk to me. If you haven't done a single penny, I've actually come. I used to do this exercise about 4 or 5 years ago when we were, going around the universities doing these shepherd pies under Jumpstart. So I used to have some lectures in the university. So I used to go and then ask them one question before actually starting my lecture was, please raise your hand. How many of you have earned 5 lakh rupees in your life? And usually there's no hands go up. 24 साल के हो गए, इतने बड़े बड़े हो गए, एक धेला नहीं कमाया होता अपनी जिंदगी के अंदर. I mean, what do you expect? You're not going to be an entrepreneur if you are 24 and then you haven't earned a single penny. And earning means what I've told you. You haven't created a single product, or you haven't bought one thing and sold on a profit. My older son is already, he's like about, I think 18. He's already crossed about $10,000 or 20, I think it's about 15,000 now.
mashallah.
The second one is about 16. He's already crossed about $7,000. So you have to do this practice. The moment you actually do, you learn how to sell.
So
Sorry about that. Like there was an issue on my end in terms of
no,
the
I
internet.
think I think this is a busy hour, and I think there's a lot of load on the internet at this
No,
time.
this time it was a issue on my end. It's fixed now, inshallah.
It's all right, no problem. So um, Mirza Ali says that if we Google how to make money online, we get about 6.8 billion results, and he is saying that it's all about getting everything you can out of everything you got. This is a very perfect statement. And another thing that I tell who ask me this kind of question, I say that you need to know what entrepreneurship is, and after that you also need to know what it takes to become one. You should be well aware of the fact that what it takes to become an entrepreneur, and you should be willing to let it consume you, because that's how it is, that's the reality of it.
And I would say one more thing, like one thing you have to realize, I mean, we are actually preaching people to become an entrepreneur. One thing you have to realize, this is not for everybody. I mean, not everybody is going to become a doctor. Not everybody
Mhm.
is going to become an engineer. You are not really cut out for it. So I really object on certain things, like when people say that everybody can actually become an entrepreneur. No, you can't. Not everybody can become an entrepreneur. So you have to really look inside in yourself whether you are cut out for it. Some people can't have this pressure simple enough. They do not have the capacity. They do not have practiced over the time to actually have that capacity built into you. So all men created equal. I mean, yes, you have a capacity, but you haven't built up on that capacity. So for instance, one person can actually run for marathon. So you can run for like 22 miles, but every human can. There's no doubt about it. But there are certain people simply don't. And why they don't is because they haven't really practiced enough. They haven't run enough. They don't run every day. I mean, you have to really see through that whether you are the one who's going to be becoming entrepreneur, you want to live that life or not. If you don't want to live
Exactly.
that life, then when you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, or you
Mm.
cannot take those pressures, then don't do it. My suggestion is I actually discourage people not to become an entrepreneur.
Of
So
course, I know. Of course, I can relate, and how it consumes all of you. It doesn't let you sleep. When you have a 9 to 5 job, you're gonna have to wake up at 7 or 8, then they just come home and then watch it. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're on a 24/7 duty, and you have no timings whatsoever. You are constantly working. Your brain is constantly working, and it literally consumes all of you. So the way Sir Khurram addressed to it, it's like, even if you have not even practiced enough to run, it's also important that you should be someone who likes to run, who likes to wake up every day and run. So it's, even if you have to practice, it's important that you are someone who wants to. So this is something that I also tell people, that it should be something that you're well aware of, and then you should jump into it. It's
right,
not a dream, it's not a fantasy.
right. Bilkul, I say yes.
So we have more comments. Thank you, Sir Mirzali, for jumping on. I dropped your hair. You always drop the value bombs. All right. And the next we have, you solve problem for millions, you make millions, but not, it's not about the money, it's the impact. From you make millions. Wow.
Yeah, in kind, in not real money. No, but
All
this is
right.
what I'm saying, like if that's exactly from this perspective what Ali is saying. Um, as long as you are impacting people. I mean, for instance, Twitter didn't have the monetization model until like 2 years ago. They didn't have the monetization model. They were just like impacting. They were just connecting people. So how many people have they reached? Like over 500 million people. So now it's close to touching 1 billion. So one thing you have to realize is it's not about just simply converting the other element into the actual real cash. There could be you're building this leverage. You are actually connecting with people. That's the resource as well.
It's amazing. People are applauding for the way you're talking and feeling happy and showing you love and support.
Thank you.
And Mirza says that it's about mindset, how we think controls everything. That's right. It's all. If you ever read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Big, it's all what it says, that your thoughts are powerful things, and the underlying principles in every thought are basically the determination of your future. So it's very important that if we control, and Hanley says in his poems that I am the master of my soul, and I am the captain, or I'm the master of my fate and captain of my soul. So that pretty much summarizes everything, how important mindset, perception, and thinking is. So thank you so much, everyone, for showing love, for the support, and I'm very honored to have Sir Khurram on my show today. And sir, now I would want you to give some closing remarks on today's session, and if you have anything left to say to the viewers, um, please go ahead.
Um, I don't think I can convince enough or I can say enough in terms of what you do in your life. I think one thing you have to realize, everybody who's going to actually watch it, one thing you have to realize that this is your life. You only get it once. There's no other point in your life ever from the point you've been created and the point you're going to keep on living is when you're going to have this type of life. So once, because this life has a very unique element, which is that you have to struggle. Other life segments of your life is not going to be where you have to struggle.
Mm.
Other life, if you go in Jannah, you're just going to be simply, you would just say it and it would come. You won't have to struggle for it. When you were in your mother's womb, you didn't have to do anything. Like you were until the age of like 7, 8, 10, 15, your parents were taking care of you. So when you actually in this segment of your life, this is the best life you can have. You have a struggle. And that struggle is the most important thing, is the most experience you're going to get. One thing I would say, on the closing side, and this is the most important thing, you actually pay for certain experiences to have. For instance, you would go to the northern area, or you would go to other places like touristic places, and those places you pay for. You actually struggle to go to get to those places, to enjoy those places. You pay for bungee jumping if you want to do. You pay for paragliding. You pay for whitewater rafting. You pay for playing cricket. Like if you are playing in a professional environment, you pay for playing a badminton or table tennis. You pay for all those kind of things, and those experiences you pay for. But this is overall the life experience you haven't paid for. This is as given to you. You have it now. Now experience it, explore it, go out in the woods, have those experiences. So it's all about actually experience. So try to experience everything, whatever you want to do in your life, and that's how you're going to enjoy it the most. If you're going to be just scary that, okay, fine, this is, you take it as that this is something which you have to survive. You're taking life as if this is some sort of like, forced upon you. Many people like in this mindset all the time, that this life is being forced upon you, that if you do good, you go to Jannah, if you do bad, you go to hell. Then if that is the mindset, you're just going to be continuously struggling. You're just going to be really looking into perspective that, okay, fine, I have to earn a living, I have to go support my family, I have to do certain things in my life, I have to have a routine. And then you really appreciate those moments when you come back from office and then you say, relax, I'm going to sit in front of the TV, and then you say, oh, now I'm relaxing. No, your whole 24 hours should be relaxing. That working is relaxing, your struggling is relaxing, your running is relaxing, your mind, you're going in woods is, everything should be relaxing, because this is the most important part of your life in this whole segment, from the point when you were created, and from the all the way till you will carry on living to the infinite times. This is the most exciting time, should be the most exciting time in your life. So that's my advice to everyone, that start living your life.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Khurram. It was very insightful. And one last thing, I really liked your shirt. I'm constantly trying to read it. It's very nice shirt. So before
Yeah,
we leave,
it's a long one, so it goes on for a while. I'll write it.
all right. So before we leave and end the session, I'd like you to receive this certificate from me. And this is to certify that Khurram Zuberi is officially believer of a world beyond border and strong in we are one army. So this is a certification. I'll send this to you as well, because I can't, deliver the 7 years to you. I can send the digital format. And yes, one more thing, we have a medal for you. And this medal is for you to use on your pictures or anywhere you like. And this is a We Are One Army medal. And congratulations, you are part of this network. And inshallah, we hope that we connect. And I'm very inspired by the Jumpstart and Lift Pakistan journey. And I consider myself as part of it from
You're
all
part of
the
the family.
what I have got from it. And you are definitely very honorable for me. All the Jumpstart people are very honorable for me. And inshallah, I'll host more people from Jumpstart as well. Thank you so much for joining, Khurram. And Allah bless you. And before we leave, I think um, Mr. We have a couple of other comments, and they are all very motivational. Zindagi mein, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at reading Urdu. Zindagi जहद
जिंदगी
मुसलसल.
जहद मुसलसल सितारों से आगे जहां और भी हैं. यार
Exactly.
ये हमारे जंप स्टार्ट के ऑफिशियल शायर हैं, अली भाई.
Oh, I see. Thank you so much, Mirza. It's very lovely. Sky's the limit. but there are footprints on the moon. So have moonshot thinking, experience it, have Mars level thinking. That's very right, definitely 100%. And Jamal is also singing in the background. So before he starts louder,
I should have a session with Jamal someday.
Aajo, Jamal, idhar aajo. And you are welcome now. Come here.
Assalamualaikum.
So Jamal is here, and Jamal, वो बताओ ना सबको कि हाथ धोएं and कोरोना भगाएं. And that's his motto these days. And Rabia has just joined in as we were trying to leave. Walaikum assalam, Rabia Nasir. She's a very lovely soul, very supportive girl, and I see her supporting many causes on and off. And thank you so much, Mirza. Mirza Ali is welcoming me on board. Thank you so much. And it's definitely been a very insightful and informative session, and that's all I wanted. So thank you so much, Khurram. Thank you so much. All right. Allah Hafiz, Allah Hafiz, Allah Hafiz, Allah Hafiz.